Umar Johnson just got exposed big time for lying to everybody, as well as multiple scams that have resurfaced. So, in our last video, we discussed how Umar Johnson is losing his school building that he received $1.6 million for in donations from his fans to build a school for black boys. He's losing a school and he's losing a building because he owes about $72,000 in unpaid fees to the city of Wilmington, Delaware. Now, a lot of people is asking, if you raise 1.6 million in donations, bought a school for 400,000, where did the other 1.2 million go, and why exactly are the fees not being paid? Umar Johnson knew beforehand that everybody was going to have these questions if the news go public that he's losing the school. So Umar Johnson went live a week before the news went public and told everybody that his bank accounts were frozen. So when the news went public that he's losing the school, Umar Johnson said the white man is conspiring against him. They froze his accounts at the same time they were requiring him to pay these fees, and his bank accounts was frozen. That's why he couldn't pay the fees, so hence he's losing the school. Well, Umar Johnson made a very big mistake, okay? See, he went live asking for his 1 million plus followers on Instagram to boycott the city of Wilmington, Delaware, kind of forcing their hands to expose him. Umar Johnson told his audience that Wilmington, Delaware, they ignored all of his attempts to pay this. They ignored all his correspondence, his emails, his calls. They completely shut him out, while at the same time simultaneously trying to sell his school behind his back.
I want y'all to get ready for a protest. I want all FDMG donors and supporters to get ready for a protest. We may have to march on City Hall, brothers and sisters. We may have to march on City Hall because of the racism. I'm going to call it what it is, racism. Discriminatory treatment. Why did we get no notification that y'all were going to sell our schools? Why did you not respond to any of our emails to retroactively apply our vacant property registration fee waiver? I knew they didn't want Dr. Umar in Wilmington. I didn't know it was this bad. I knew that the power structure, I'm not talking about the brothers and sisters in the community. They love us. Shout out to our Wilmington, Delaware family. Shout out to our Wilmington, Delaware family. They love Dr. Umar and FDMG. I'm talking about the power structure of Wilmington, Delaware. We knew they didn't want us in that city, but we didn't know they would go this far as to ignore us for 4 months and try to sell the school behind our backs. I didn't know they would go this far as to ignore us for 4 months and try to sell the school behind our backs. I didn't know they would go this far to ignore us for 4 months and try to sell our schools that we've been working on for 6.5 years behind our backs. So brothers and sisters, this is what we're going to do. We're going to fight like hell to get our money from the bank. We're going to pay off this vacant property registration fee waiver, and we might still have a protest at City Hall because this is wrong, brothers and sisters. I have emailed the mayor. I have gotten no response. I have emailed the chief of staff. I have gotten no response. I have emailed the city council president. I have gotten no response. So brothers and sisters, I'm going to meet with my team.
So obviously there's an entire economy on YouTube now that's committed and dedicated to exposing Umar Johnson. So they contacted the city of Wilmington. Now apparently they was bombarded with a lot of emails. So they just started to respond back to people. Hopefully the message could get out to where they can stop getting the hate. They responded back to one YouTuber in particular, and they told this YouTuber, hey, listen, bruh, Umar Johnson is capping. Don't believe what he's saying. We did not try to sell this man's school behind his back. As a matter of fact, we're doing everything in our power to make sure this school is not sold and Umar Johnson just pay us what he owes the city. We don't want the school to be taken away. We want him to just pay the fees. And apparently it's Umar Johnson that's doing the ignoring.
I reached out to the city of Wilmington, Delaware, and I had correspondence with with Daniel T. Walker, who is one of the managers and deals with communications and whatnot. I received an email back from him about an hour ago. And pardon me if I look away from the screen, so I'm actually looking at a different monitor, but I want to read this to you. Unfortunately, the statements made by Dr. Umar are simply untrue and inaccurate. City of Wilmington has issued numerous communications concerning the two properties, and the communication from the property owner has been infrequent and scarce. Our goal is to simply ensure the properties come into compliance with existing regulations. This is true of our approach to every property in Wilmington and ensures our buildings are safe and constructed adequately. We have a process to follow. The motion notice he received is another step that we will process. We invite Dr. Umar along with every property owner to communicate with our offices and determine the appropriate next steps of any property that enters in this phase of enforcement. Even this week, our office has contacted Dr. Umar, and I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Y'all got to forgive me. I got to get some. The office has contacted Dr. Umar this week and has, let's see, inviting him once again. So he's lying to you, inviting him once again to comply with our regulations and speak with our delinquent accounts team and Department of License and Inspections to determine the path forward.
If Umar is a smart man, the last thing he would do is contact them folks, get on a payment plan, and retain their school. This is Umar Johnson's way out. Umar Johnson recognizes it, which is why these folks been trying to contact Umar Johnson. Hey, bro, yo, we'll work with you, Umar. You don't need to lose your school. We'll work with you, bro. Stop calling me. Umar Johnson understands this, bro. Umar Johnson is a very smart man. He knows, he knows the idea that to create a school, right? At this point in time, donations, I believe, have slowed up probably completely, or like 90%. People ain't donating no more to Umar Johnson. So the prospects of opening up a school is almost like 0 to none, right? Well, 0 is none, but you get what I'm saying. Because you need employees still. You need teachers still. You need a lot of things that's probably going to cost an additional M or two. That additional M or two ain't coming. Umar Johnson recognizes that, bruh. So the best thing to do is to let the city take it and then cry, hey, bruh, the white man did it, and then move on with your life. And I promise you, people will forget about this in about 6 months. So, yeah, and that's why, so Umar lied. They're saying, yo, we've been trying to contact him. We've been trying to reach him. We don't want to take the school. And they even show a timeline of their communications with Umar Johnson where they've been trying to reach out to Umar Johnson with no avail. But Umar Johnson is telling y'all that, nah, man, he's been trying to reach out to them. October of 2024, they sent an email to Umar Johnson requesting completion of a waiver request for the upcoming vacant property fee cycle 2025 to 2029. They didn't receive a response. January 1st, deadline to request a waiver for the 2024 registration cycle passed with no waiver application received. Past due fees are ineligible for waivers. April 2025, property owners submitted the 501(c). So this is where Umar Johnson is saying, yo, April of 2025, I sent in my 501(c) documentation and photos, but he still did not submit a formal waiver application or demonstrate active permit renovations as required under their laws, right? The owner requested retroactive application of nonprofit waivers to prior years, which is not permitted by the code. April to August of 2025, they followed up multiple attempts from finance department regarding outstanding fees. No waiver application submitted for the current cycle. They're saying, hey, bruh, not only do he owes the current fees and there's nothing we can do about that, but we're trying to save him from owing new additional fees by asking him to submit a waiver so he don't have to pay the fees for 2025 to 2029. But he still hasn't submitted the waiver application. Umar Johnson wants the school taken away, bruh. It's too much pressure. August 5th, 2025, due to continued non-payment and non-compliance, an auction notice was issued in accordance with the city, which allows for service by posting when other delivery methods are not completed. Umar Johnson got 6 more days or else the school is being auctioned off. And all these folks is asking is, yo, reach out to us. Talk to us. Be cooperative with us so we could figure out a plan. We don't want to take your buildings away. Umar Johnson ain't reaching out to these folks, bro. He got 6 days. The school is being taken away August 25th. But if this is not bad enough, yo, Umar Johnson is currently in a position where if this school is going to open up, he has to raise more money, right? He just has to raise more money, man. I don't know what happened to the current money. Umar Johnson probably spent it. Umar Johnson probably, that money ain't here, bro. That money gone. It's gone. So for Umar Johnson, right, to build, he needs more donations. Donations ain't coming because every time we look up, Umar Johnson is being exposed for faulty business practices, or running off with somebody's money. We've seen another person with a school called King Randall. He tried to pay Umar Johnson for an interview. Umar Johnson accepted the payment and then ran off on him. So if you look at King Randall's Twitter, he's been talking about this $3,000 that Umar Johnson has been owing him, right, for not showing up to his event. So apparently, he showed like the PayPal receipts, the like the correspondence. Umar Johnson agreed to show up. They pay him the $3K. He never showed up. Now, if this is Umar Johnson and how he operates in terms of his daily business practices, what do you guys think that Umar Johnson did with the $1.6 million that y'all donated to him? Y'all think that money was just sitting in the bank account going only towards the school, even though, a lot of that money came during like the pandemic? You think Umar Johnson, who wasn't doing any speeches during the pandemic, ain't dipping to that funds to pay some of his bills? Man, y'all gotta, right? But the worst of the scam that has resurfaced, I would say, has been the one where Umar Johnson scammed a homeless man who was working for Umar Johnson. That homeless man name is Don. He goes by IC Don. Umar Johnson has been engaged in full-on war with this guy called Don since 2021. And the situation apparently is still not resolved yet.
And that's why I'm on your ass, Umar. Because I tried to give you the benefit of motherfucking doubt. I tried to allow you to prove to yourself and to your people, as you say, your people, that you was real. You was needed.
Don met Umar Johnson in 2021 at a chance of coincidence. He was like walking by. He seen Umar Johnson. They began to chop it up. Umar Johnson then offered Don a job because Don was a really good handyman. He does really good work. He's great with his hands. Umar Johnson hired Don and allowed Don to live in the school, even though the school is like hazardous at the moment. He allowed the homeless man to live in the school. So the agreement was he would pay Don about $3,000 a month, and Don would get to live in the school in exchange for absolute labor. I'm talking about you wake up from like 7 a.m. to like 7 p.m. You are working your butt off 7 days a week, rehabbing this school, doing whatever Umar Johnson asks you to do. Now, the month is wrapping up and Don is expecting to get paid soon. So Don leaves for the weekend, but when Don leaves, I guess Don like doesn't lock the door fully, so the door is still somewhat open, but Don has the keys. So when Don leaves, Umar Johnson comes to the school building and Umar Johnson starts texting Don, really upset that Don left the door open. He starts cussing Don out. Don feels super disrespected. So Don begins to snap on Umar Johnson too. That leads to Don quitting / getting fired because at that point, they both knew the relationship was severed and done. So Umar Johnson asks Don to drop off the keys now. Don asks, am I getting paid? So Umar said, you will get paid when you drop off the keys. So Don goes back to FDMG to drop off the keys. And when he goes back to drop off the keys, Umar Johnson all of a sudden doesn't have the full $3,000.
I was on my way to Delaware with no money, but I knew I was going to be obtaining some money.
Getting ready to get paid.
So I knew I was going to be getting some money. And so I was going to set myself up to be in Delaware because I was supposed to be meeting up with this young lady. I'm walking up the hill. I'm walking, and I'm trying to hurry and get there, before, anything. And he's sitting right there on the stairs and, on the phone. And so, he's on his phone. So, I'm letting him rock out and talk. And, it's just when he finally reached out to me to come and, give him the keys, it's how he spoke to me with no respect to me and how he said it. But he said something really, real not right to me in the wrong way.
Real slick. I know what you mean.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying, Lay Holmes? You already know, bro. So don't do me like that. Here's your keys. Where's my money? You have my money? And he said, like, I'm going to send it to Larry. And this is why it's pissed me off too, for him to send my money to Larry. But I'm gonna send it to Larry, and I'm gonna send the 500 to Larry. And then I just broke food. Like, what? What are you talking about? I wish I would have let him keep talking, though.
So Don eventually sued Umar Johnson. Keep watching. I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened with the lawsuit and if Umar Johnson, was found culpable. But while this lawsuit was going on, Umar Johnson was actively insulting Don. This was as recent as last year. Umar Johnson made a post about Don on Instagram, accusing Don of pulling up and vandalizing the school and claiming there's an arrest warrant out for Don, which was ultimately not true.
Back in December of 2021, Umar Johnson posted this image on his IG with the caption, "If you see this man, please call police. Wanted by law enforcement for FDMG vandalism." He also posted this picture stating that Donald Murray vandalized the FDMG campus last night. He indicated the reason he did this was because he lost the court case and was looking for street justice. So who is Donald and what court case is Umar Johnson referring to? Donald, who goes by the name Don, did some work at the property Umar Johnson purchased in Wilmington. Don said Umar Johnson agreed to pay him $3,000. However, Umar kept changing the terms of their agreement. Text messages between Don and Umar were shown during a live stream that substantiated Don's claim. So Don decided to sue Umar Johnson in order to get his money. Don also stated in a video that he did not vandalize the property.
In regards to Umar Johnson, for him to bring me up and say, I didn't even see the video. But someone called me up and let me know that, he made a video and said that I vandalized the school. Then someone texted me, someone emailed, and a lot of people said that he said that I vandalized the school. And he's saying all this after he's saying that I lost the court case with him. I didn't lose no court case. We still got up to next week to be dealing with it. So for him to come out of nowhere and talk about he lost the court case and he vandalized the school, and I have an order of protection against him, folks. For him to come out there and say, Don, when someone said that he said my full name, I vandalized the school. For me to take time out to do some old little boy kid shit to put, I don't even know what was put on the building. I don't know what was done on the building. I don't even know what vandalism, where it was vandalized. I didn't check it out.
Umar Johnson lied about the lawsuit being dismissed. It wasn't dismissed at all. And we'll give you guys the lawsuit update or conclusion a little later in this video. Just keep watching. But I 100% believe that Don was the one who vandalized the school, because the person, spray painted the wall and they wrote a Cash App. The Cash App was Don's Cash App. Nobody is writing your Cash App, Don, if it wasn't you. And the surveillance footage, the person looks like Don. So yeah, Don did it. But at this point, it's karma, bro. You owe a homeless man $3,000. Your $3,000 could bring a lot of ease and comfort to this man's life that you're choosing not to. You rather show up to court or pay a lawyer instead of just paying the homeless man the $3,000 you owe him. To me, that's that's psychotic and that's just wrong, right? But then you owe King Randall $3,000, so you could have just given Don the $3,000 you took from King Randall. You never showed up for the interview.
I have no clue. But for him to say that I take time out my life to go all the way to Delaware to go and vandalize the school. No, when I go to Delaware, it's to see you.
Let me tell y'all how petty Dr. Umar Johnson is, okay? Umar Johnson could have just paid the $3,000 or at least show up, right, to, have a quick resolution to this. No, Umar Johnson did everything in his power, everything, to avoid court, to prolong this as long as possible, to make Don wait years, if he was going to get a conclusion. Look at the extent that Umar Johnson went to prolong this case and to avoid ever showing up.
We see the case description, Donald Murray versus Umar Johnson. Filing date, April 6th, 2021. And it's for breach of contract. Service by the sheriff was requested on April 22nd of 2021. On May 7th, the service was returned non-S. Based on the notes, they tried to serve Umar Johnson at the property in Delaware, but he wasn't there. He was eventually served on 9/10 of 2021. On October 11th of 2021, Don filed a motion for a default judgment. Umar Johnson filed an answer to the lawsuit on October 15th of 21. There were some issues with the court getting the notice to Umar because they were sending them to the address listed for the property in Delaware, and the notices were being returned to the court. Umar Johnson eventually communicated to the court that his mailing address is the P.O. Box in Delaware. There was a civil motion hearing on January 14 via Zoom, and during that hearing, Don did something that later almost jeopardized his case. On January 21, 2022, Don's motion for a default judgment was denied, and the case was set to go to trial on July 6th of this year. However, on June 24th, there was an order, because during the civil motion on January 14, Don made a recording of the hearing and posted it online, which was a violation of the court's policy. Therefore, an in-person hearing was set for July 22nd for Don to explain why he should not be held in contempt of court for violating the court policy by recording a court proceeding and posting it in a public domain. Due to this, the trial had to be rescheduled. The hearing was held and Don was found to be in contempt of court, and all recordings of the January 14 hearing that were posted online had to be removed within 30 days or his case would be dismissed. A trial was rescheduled, which brings us to today, November 30th. However, on November 29th, the day before the trial, Umar Johnson requested a continuance on the basis that he, Umar Johnson, is ill and would not be able to attend.
Come on, bro. Come on, Umar, bruh. Now, ultimately, though, all the ducking didn't turn out well in Umar Johnson's favor, because you could only prolong this case for so long. And the case finally has a resolution. You want to know what it is? Well, lucky you're here, because we got the paperwork. If we go to the docket, we now know, as of 2023, a motion was granted, right? The judgment was granted. So proposed findings of facts and recommendations for order awarding damages. Conclusion for the above reason, judgment is entered against Umar Johnson in the amount of $3,000 plus post-judgment interest at the legal rate. It is so ordered this 11th day of September 2023. Proposed findings of fact and recommendations for order awarding damages back to court, return to sender. So they couldn't even tell Umar Johnson, hey, bruh, you lost in court. You got to pay this man $3,000. Because they couldn't even serve Umar Johnson. They don't have an address on file for Umar Johnson no more, even though Umar Johnson was initially served at the school. Yo, now again, I'm not a legal expert. I don't know if Don could go after the school if Umar Johnson don't pay this, because Don was threatening to put a lien on the school. I'm not even sure if that's possible. I don't know. But Umar Johnson essentially scammed a homeless man, refused to pay him, prolonged the process so he could wait 3 years for $3,000, finally got the judgment, and Umar Johnson hasn't attempted to pay this man in 2 years. This is sad, man. Y'all let me know in the comment section what y'all think, all right? Y'all think Umar Johnson is ever going to get this school up, man? Do y'all feel like Umar Johnson is scamming? Let me know, man. And if you're still watching, click on this video here somewhere on my screen to find out why this Chicago rapper just threatened to shoot and kill Whack 100. Click on this video right here to find out what I'm talking about. I'm out of here, folks. Peace.